There seems to be no in-between with Justin Bieber. People either love him or they hate him. We're all aware of his army of obsessively loyal Beliebers, but the stars on this list fall into the haters category, and at some point they've all publicly owned it. Here are some celebs who can't stand Justin Bieber. In 2014, Bieber had to pay more than $80,000 in restitution after egging a neighbor's house, according to the LA Times. McHale has taken plenty of shots at Bieber in the past, but after the egging incident, his appearance on Conan really pulled back the curtain on his true feelings towards the Biebs.
Why is one of the most affluent stars in the world right now throwing eggs at his neighbor's house?
Because he's a idiot.
Yeah.
McHale speculated that the real problem with Bieber is that he's so rich, he's just bored and acting out.
He's just running out of things to do.
I know.
He's so rich and so successful. And be like, what do you want to do? And you're like, let's shave a dog. What do you want to do?
McHale hasn't said a whole lot about Bieber since that January 2014 interview, and that's probably because he's pretty much already said it all. One of the neighbors who wasn't pleased with Bieber's alleged reckless driving of his Ferrari through his high-end Calabasas, California community was former NFL wide receiver Keyshawn Johnson. He told TMZ, "You got a 19-year-old kid, feeling entitled, speeding up and down the highway. That's why all the neighbors are mad. Then you got him spitting on people. You can't do that." Johnson even went so far as to confront Bieber at his home, but he refused to speak with the former baller, then later tried to say that it was actually his friend who had been driving. Johnson disputed that claim, telling TMZ, "Look man, I know the difference between a black kid driving a car and a white kid driving a car. One thing that he does not have to do is answer to me. He has to answer to the DA's office. He does nothing for me. I don't make money off of him." In other words, Bieber's probably not getting invited to play flag football at Johnson's house. Just a guess. As a fellow musician, Kiss frontman Gene Simmons feels like Bieber has struck a sour note here and there. Most notably, the time he canceled the remainder of his Purpose World Tour in July 2017. Asked by TMZ to give the Never Say Never singer some advice, Simmons said, "Get a life. You don't have to worry about anything. You're rich. In case you didn't notice, you're white. You got white privilege, bitch. There's nothing to complain about." He then said Bieber suffered from, quote, the Beverly Hills Blues, which includes gripes about limos and mansions. But it wasn't enough for Simmons to just call Bieber entitled. He elaborated to Rolling Stone a month later by chalking up Bieber's mistakes to being young and stupid. Then he paid the Canadian crooner a compliment in the only way Simmons can, saying, "As soon as he starts doing more serious music instead of little girl music, I think we'll all be surprised. The kid can play instruments, he can sing, he looks good, he can dance." Here's one that's probably never getting resolved, because as of April 2019, Justin Bieber and UFC star Ronda Rousey are still in their respective corners, waiting to land the next blow. Rousey drew first blood when she revealed to Cosmopolitan,
"Justin Bieber was actually really rude to my little sister at the Cannes Film Festival."
Apparently, Rousey tried to get him to take a quick photo with her starstruck 16-year-old sis.
I walked over there and I said, "Excuse me," and he turned to me and goes, "I've already taken 1 billion pictures today, okay?"
Rousey added that after that encounter, she would never want to hang out with him.
I'm not a Belieber. I was, but I'm not anymore.
After her interview, Bieber apologized for his actions, which he claims he doesn't remember.
Supposedly, she asked for a picture with her sisters, and I guess I said no. But I don't remember this happening, so Rhonda, I'm sorry. Don't kick my ass.
But then he turned right around and threw some epic shade Rousey's way, saying, "Did you see Ronda Rousey? She got knocked out cold. Oh my god. She got knocked out so bad. Yeah, no, she got pummeled." He also tweeted the same comment with a little extra bratty spice on the night of the actual fight in which Rousey took a stunning defeat at the hands of Holly Holm. Rousey has yet to return the dig, but then again, she's much better at letting her fist do the talking. It's almost impossible to imagine the seemingly always affable Saturday Night Live alum Bill Hader having beef with anyone. Cut to Bieber hosting the late-night sketch show where, according to Hader's 2013 Howard Stern interview, the pop star showed up with an entourage of around 20 people who got in the way of the cast backstage.
He had a guy holding a slice of pizza, a guy holding a Diet Coke.
Oh my goodness.
Going around stage and you're trying to fight through all these people.
1 year later, Hader was back in the headlines with another Bieber slam, this time in an excerpt from Live from New York, an uncensored history of Saturday Night Live, that was published by the New York Post. He said, "I really didn't enjoy having Justin Bieber around. He's the only one who lived up to the reputation. I think that's the only time I felt that way in 8 years. Just to put that in perspective, Hader's time at SNL also included him enduring hosting stints by other headline-making celebs like Lindsay Lohan and Shia LaBeouf. So you get the point. Actor and musician Drake Bell is a non-Belieber who kind of tried to walk back his beef with the Biebs. In 2015, he told KTLA that the whole thing was a big misunderstanding after he retweeted a Photoshop pic of Bieber's DUI mugshot and was subsequently attacked by the pop idol's vicious horde of preteens. But Bell left out a few details. According to BuzzFeed, Bell not only repeatedly tweeted digs at Bieber, most of which have been deleted, but he also noted that the Biebs has a big responsibility as someone who, quote, has more sway over popular minds than a politician. Bell added, he could get on a pedestal and say, this is how you should treat people, but instead, Bieber's going around telling kids that as long as you have enough money and swag, you can do whatever you want. Though it seems like Bell's beef still lands with Bieber's excitable fanbase, he's certainly not extending any olive branches by accusing the boy wonder of not doing anything to rein them in. It takes a lot to irk a generally jovial guy like Seth Rogen, but Bieber managed to do it on more than one occasion, prompting the comedy star to unload on the sorry singer with a hilarious vengeance. Rogen began his barrage on Bieber with the rather blunt 2014 tweet, all jokes aside, Justin Bieber is a piece of shit, which as far as opening shots go, is pretty epic. He elaborated on his beatdown of the Biebs during an interview with Howard Stern by saying,
I've met him a few times. It was more, he's a good example of someone who you meet, who you think you're gonna hate, and then you get to hate him.
Rogen's non-love for his fellow Canadian all stem from a few backstage encounters in which Bieber allegedly flexed his superstar status hard, coming across as, in the colorful words of Rogen, a bit of a d***. In the end, Rogen couldn't stay mad at his home country's musical export. Or maybe he was just sick of being asked about Bieber and wanted to squash the whole topic. During an appearance on Ellen, the Neighbor star confessed that the only interaction he'd ever had with Bieber was actually, quote, pleasant, and that he'd attacked him afterwards because he, quote, decided to be mean one day for no reason whatsoever. One of the outspoken hosts of The Talk, and a music industry vet in her own right, Sharon Osbourne also went out of her way to unload on Bieber. This was before his 2017 tour cancellation, but after his streak of bad behavior in the early 2010s, that would see him regularly splashed across tabloid headlines.
He would have to go to hospital to get my foot out of his ass first.
Speaking about Bieber with the Daily Beast in 2013, Osbourne said, he wants to be a mean boy, and he's about as mean as a f***ing kitten, and he's trying to act out. It's like, oh, we're the bad boys. Off. You don't know what bad is. Where do you go when you're a child entertainer and then you want to transition to be a man? Very few make it. It was a bold statement, and one that Osbourne, whose own kids have had their fair share of trouble dealing with fame, regrets saying publicly. According to Entertainment Tonight Canada, Osbourne addressed her Bieber rage on The Talk in August 2017, when she said she, quote, learned a huge mistake from Justin Bieber. She added, I should have never attacked anyone at that age, verbally, and made the comments that I made. Technically, CSI star Marg Helgenberger was speaking on behalf of her show's crew when she voiced concern over Bieber's on-set behavior, but she did refer to him as having acted like, quote, kind of a brat during his 2011 cameo on the long-running CBS police procedural, according to an interview with a French radio show.
He locked one of the producers in a closet, and he put his fist through a cake.
Bieber responded on Twitter writing, it's kinda lame when someone you met briefly and never worked with comments on you. I will continue to wish them luck and be kind. His rebuke must have stuck with Helgenberger, who later softened her stance during a 2015 Entertainment Tonight interview.
I think some of the crew had some issues with him, but you know, they should talk about that, not me.
He either punched a cake or he didn't. Which is it, Marg? When rocker Jon Bon Jovi heard that Bieber allegedly showed up 80 minutes late for a show in London, he didn't hold back on his criticism. Speaking with the Evening Standard, the Bad Medicine singer said, every generation has guys that do that. None of that is new. Do it once, you can be forgiven. Do it enough times and shame on you. They won't have you back. Then it just becomes a cliche. It's really not cool. You're an asshole. Go to f***ing work. Granted, his remarks are more of a general comment on rockstar diva behavior, but it still applies. Especially because if anyone gets to shame a young punk of a pop star for disrespecting his fans, it's the guy who's been faithfully belting out Livin' on a Prayer for the past 3 decades. The saga between Orlando Bloom, Justin Bieber, and their then-respective ladies, Miranda Kerr and Selena Gomez, is something out of a torrid middle school diary. First, Bieber and Gomez broke up and got back together a bunch of times, with a rumor that he hooked up with Bloom's ex-wife, Miranda Kerr, tossed into the mix. Then, Gomez was spotted outside a Chelsea Handler show with Bloom, and later rumored to have made out with him at a Vegas casino, sparking more gossip about a possible romance there. With the stage set for a showdown, Bieber and Bloom nearly came to blows at a swanky restaurant in Ibiza, Spain. Ironically, while neither of them was even romantically linked to Kerr or Gomez at the time. Nevertheless, according to eyewitnesses who spoke with the Mirror, Bloom became enraged at comments Bieber supposedly made about Kerr, at which point he jumped over a sofa and lunged at Bieber. No one actually landed any punches, and the video of the incident is decidedly less sensational than the stories that ensued. It seems to just show Bloom taking a step toward Bieber and extending his arm before a full entourage of men separate the two. Afterward, Bieber responded by posting a photo of a crying Bloom to his Instagram. As far as we can tell, Bloom hasn't engaged in the feud in any way, so at the very least, this fight is probably as dead as all of these romantic relationships. The Black Keys drummer Patrick Carney felt the full wrath of the Beliebers after he made a pretty mild statement about their Maple Leaf King while TMZ cameras were rolling. Asked whether he thought Bieber should have been nominated for a Grammy in 2013, Carney replied, "He's rich, right? Grammys are for music, not for money. And he's making a lot of money. He should be happy. Pretty harmless, right?" Wrong. What followed was a torrent of death threats, homophobic slurs, and general chaos via Twitter, all spurred, according to Carney, by a tweet from Bieber. The Black Keys drummer should be slapped around, haha. Speaking with Rolling Stone about the fallout, Carney said, "Justin Bieber, like a f***ing irresponsible asshole, sicked 40 million Twitter followers on me because I paid him a compliment he didn't understand. I'm saying that he should be grateful that he has a f***ing career in music, and he shouldn't be f***ing telling his followers to slap me, and then also be doing anti-bullying bullshit. It's so irresponsible." Carney wasn't finished there. "I mean, Justin Bieber is a f***ing moron, and that's the gist of what I was saying. Honestly, I feel bad for him." Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Nicki Swift videos about your favorite celebs are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.